This module will cover signing and submitting a note. We will discuss differences between preliminary and final documents. We will also demonstrate how to add addendums, modify a saved note, and enter a note. At the bottom of the template, there are 4 buttons which allow you to take action on your note. The Cancel button can be used to discard your note as long as you have not saved or signed the note. Clicking the Save button allows you to save your work without closing the note. Saving often as you compile your note prevents documentation from being lost should the system time out. When you click Save, the Save Note pop-up screen appears. Click OK to return to the note. The Save and Close button is to be used in situations where you need to close your note prior to completing your documentation. When you save and close without signing, the document appears as a preliminary document and is only viewable by you, the author of the note. For this reason, the Save and Close option should only be used in limited situations, and all effort should be made to complete the note as soon as possible. Saved notes can be accessed in 2 places: your Message Center and in the document list under Provider Documentation. In Message Center, click on Saved Documents in the menu and all saved documents will appear. Double-click on the document to open. Once you've reviewed the note, if no changes are necessary, make sure the radio button is set to sign, click OK, and close. The document will be finalized. If you choose to modify or add documentation to the saved note, click on the Modify icon in the toolbar. You can also right-click in the document and select Modify. This will reopen the template and allow you to complete your documentation. When finished, click Sign Submit. Let's look at the Sign and Submit process. When you click this button, a Sign Submit note screen opens. The note type field is viewed at the top left-hand side of the screen. As explained in an earlier module, it is very important that you select the correct note type to ensure that your note is found easily by your colleagues and filed correctly in clinical notes. You will be unable to sign your note without completing this field. At this point, you have the ability to forward your note to another provider on staff at Shore Medical Center. To do so, type the last name of the provider in the search box located above the recipient field. The provider will default in as a recipient, unless there are multiple providers with the same last name. In that case, double-click on the desired provider name and add it to the recipient list. If you send documents to the same provider often, click on the yellow star to the left of the provider's name to add their name to your favorite contact list. Each time you want to forward to this provider, hover to the right of the provider's name in the favorites list until a blue plus sign appears. Click on the blue plus sign to add to the recipient's list. If you always send to the same provider, click the default check. This will default this provider's name automatically into the recipient's list each time you sign your note. If you added a recipient by accident, hover to the right of the recipient's name and a gray X will appear. Click on the gray X to remove the name. Saved favorite contacts can be removed from your list by simply removing the yellow star. To the right of the provider's name, you will see 2 radio buttons. Selecting Sign will forward the documents to the recipient for co-signature. This feature is to be used by physician assistants or advanced practice nurses whose notes require a co-signature by their collaborating physician. When you select Review CC, the note will go to the recipient for review only. It is important that you move the radio button to the correct action each time you send a note. Once all desired fields are completed, click Sign. Earlier in this module, we mentioned accessing saved notes for completion from the document list under Provider Documentation. Let's take a look at what the workflow would be should you want to access and complete your saved note from here. To access the documentation list, click on the Provider Documentation section in your main menu. Notice all documents created for this patient are listed here. To streamline the list so that only provider notes are displayed, adjust the display filter to all physician notes. Double-click on your saved note. This will reopen the template and allow you to complete your documentation. When finished, click Sign Submit. It should be noted that once a document is finalized, modification can only be done through adding an addendum. As discussed prior, all notes will appear under the List tab in Provider Documentation. Double-click to open the desired note. Add the addendum to the designated field at the bottom and sign Submit. The finalized note will now display in red, Document contains addenda. There may be an occasion where you realize you've submitted a note under the wrong patient, incorrect note type, or wrong encounter. Although the note cannot be removed from the patient's record, it can be marked as in error. Click once over the desired note in the Document List tab to open the note on the right. Click on the In Error icon in the toolbar. Write a brief comment explaining your error and click OK. The document will now display in red in Error Report. Only you, the author of the note, can in error your note. Once a document is submitted in error, your actions to correct the error are driven by what type of mistake was made. Keep in mind, patient data populates the template dynamically. This means should you submit a note on the wrong patient, your only course of action is to retype or redictate the note. If you are in the correct patient record but submitted your note under the wrong encounter, you will need to contact our Medical Records Department to correct. Next, let's talk about a documentation error that can be corrected easily by you using tagging or copy-paste functionality. Use this action only if you submitted the note under the correct patient and correct encounter, but selected the wrong note type. Open the note from the document list. Left-click and drag to copy only the note, starting below the red In Error Report and ending above the signature line. Release the mouse and click on the tag icon. Open a free text note and choose the correct note type. Remember to change the title from Free Text Note to a more specific note name. Double-click to open the template. Drag and drop the tag text into the top of the template between the blue dotted lines. Sign and submit your note. In this next section, we will discuss Message Center functionality and how it relates to dynamic documentation. When the author of a note designates you as a recipient, the note will display in your Message Center inbox under Documents. If your practice includes physician assistants or nurse practitioners, you will receive documents requiring cosignature in your Message Center. Double-click to open the note. To sign the note, make sure the radio button in the action pane is set to sign. Click OK and close. If you wish to add to the note, click the Modify icon in the toolbar, or right-click and select Modify. Insert your addendum at the bottom of the note, and then click Sign, Submit. You may receive a note from another provider for review. After reviewing the note, make sure the radio button in the action pane is set to Review and click OK and Close. This concludes Module 4.